Hello, this is Mike at Gamefromscratch, and welcome to week 11 of This Week in Game Dev, a quick recap of what happened in the world of game development. And this is for the week ending January 31st of 2016. And now that we got the first month of January behind us, we're moving away from the holidays and starting to see a bit more happen. So, unlike the last couple of weeks, we've got quite a bit to cover over today. So let's jump right in. Now, once again, as always, all of these stories will be linked down below in the comments, so if you want more details, head on through. So we're going to do just a quick overview of all the events. If you want more details, the links are available. So first off, starting and ending today, Global Game Jam, I believe it ends today anyways, but it started on Friday. This is the biggest of the game jams. I'm sure you're aware of it by now, but it should just be concluding as we go to press now. On top of that, we have a bunch of Unity and Unreal news. Now, specifically, their weekly patch release schedule has continued pretty much on pace. So this week we see the release of Unreal Engine 4.11 Preview 4. And this is mostly a bug fix released, and there's quite a few bug fixes, and the known issues list got a lot smaller, so that's always an encouraging sign. And at the same time, Unity also released their weekly patch. Now, on top of that patch, they also announced that upcoming Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3DS, this is actually a thing. There's a product called New Nintendo 3DS, released end of last year, more powerful version, blah, blah, blah. They just announced support for it. You can get Unity through the Nintendo Development Program and develop for the new Nintendo DS. I'm assuming somewhere behind the scenes they're also working on Nintendo NX support, but I imagine they can't announce that yet since Nintendo NX hasn't actually been announced. But at the Tokyo Unite, they just did announce that the new Nintendo 3DS support has been added. And again, you still have to go through the Nintendo Developer Program to get access to the tools, but they are free from Unity's side of things anyways. So as I said earlier, they also released patch 5.3.2 P1, mostly a fixed release. Now, one of the interesting things, actually, see, they made a fix here too, the IL2 CPP change. Now, IL2 CPP is their transition to replace mono. So instead of having the mono runtime, they're actually going to be transpiling your code over to C++, which is then compiled natively. And what's kind of interesting is that new Nintendo 3DS SDK has only the IL2 CPP option. So there is no longer mono runtime. And this also has the interesting ramification of there is no longer anything but AOT, so ahead of time compilation now. I don't know what the ramifications of that will be. You're probably going to lose some of the runtime type functionality you get now from having the mono and probably some of the reflection abilities. I'm not sure the ramifications there, but it is interesting to see that mono is basically officially being weaned out. Now, hopefully once this happens, the Unity team can kick in and bring Unity up to speed so that we're not dealing with Unity using, C# up to speed. So we're not dealing with a version from 10 years ago. And final Unity news, and this isn't really exciting to pretty much anybody but math geeks, but they announced that they're going to be switching from Pong shading to Gdx shading. Now, this is the shading model used to determine how light diffuses across the surface of a material. And the Gdx shader, you can see the end result. I believe GDX is faster, but the big thing with GDX is it has support for additional information, specifically I believe roughness, which makes it more compatible to all these PBR or physically based rendering systems that are out there, such as Algorithmix, Substance Designer, and Substance Painter. And since Substance Painter and Substance Designer seem to be taking over the world, more integration and better compatibility with Unity is definitely a good thing from Unity's side. So the GGX move will make that a possibility. Now, I believe it's in Unity 5.4 that they're officially going to flip the switch on this one. Now, another one completely from Outfield here is Allegro. 5.1.13 WIP, or Work in Progress, was released. Now, they don't release very often. So 1.13 came in January of 2016, whereas the last release came in, I don't know. I think June. So there are not a lot of releases coming out of Allegro these days. Just the small fixes, small changes, etc. Now, Allegro is a place that has a special place in my heart because this is a C++ based game engine. So it's for writing 2D games. It's very comparable to Cocos 2DX, SFML, SDL. Now, Allegro is in the same league as all of those and has been around the longest, actually. I believe it's older than SDL even. So Allegro is one of the first game engines I ever used. And I used it for DOS back in well, many moons ago. And it was actually ported to DOS from the Amiga, I believe. It might have been the Atari ST, but I believe it was the Amiga. I could be wrong either way. But it was created by Sean Hargraves, who went on to do or work on Microsoft's XNA. So this is a library I've kind of kept an eye on for a very long time. I don't use it anymore. I probably never will, but I do keep up on it just because of its heritage and my history with it. So they got this small release. You can see the exact details. Just go click through the story for more details. Another small release this week. Why am I scrolled down? RoboVM 1.13 was released. Now, RoboVM is the virtual machine technology that enables you to run Java applications on iOS. Now, from a game perspective, this is the technology powering the iOS capabilities in libgdx. Now, RoboVM 1.13, the biggest new addition. As you see, a number of bug fixes, etc. But the biggest thing they did is added Twitter Fabric support. I don't know a ton about Twitter Fabric, to be honest. But if you were looking for support on Java, it is now available. Now, another announcement this week was AMD launched GPU Open. And this is sort of AMD taking all of their GPU-related libraries, codes, examples, etc., and putting them under one umbrella. So you go through there. There are DX12 code samples, DX11 libraries, OpenCL, OpenGL, and DirectX Performance Analyzer, an offline compiler, etc. There's a bunch of GPU game-specific libraries in there. Plus, there's a lot of, what do they call it? Performance computing, which is basically massively parallel server calculations, things like literally rocket scientist stuff. So they've got a library in there for supporting that kind of processing on GPUs as well. So it's nice to see more libraries coming from AMD, considering that Vulkan, the next version of OpenGL, is based on Mantle, which was another AMD library that was open sourced. It's nice to see them moving this stuff. Now, I'd like to see their silicon, their actual products, start to give NVIDIA a bit more of a fight. I don't like seeing NVIDIA get so much market share, so hopefully the next release from AMD hits it out of the park. But from a software perspective, they're releasing some very nice stuff. So if you're doing some GPU programming, definitely go check out GPU Open from AMD. Everything in there is completely free, by the way. Now, next up, bonus tools. It's a set of extensions that were released for Maya, but they were never released for Maya LT. So this is basically a free plugin for previously Maya that gave it a bunch of new functionality, but it was never given to LT users. Now, Maya LT is a stripped-down indie version of Maya. They've changed what the limitations are over time, so I'm not sure exactly what they are, but it's got mostly just polygonal modeling, animation, and some limited rendering capability. So they took out a lot of the, the motion picture or TV-oriented aspects of Maya. And it used to have a polygon limit on the scene upper limit, but I think that might have been either relaxed or removed. But it's a special, cheaper version of Maya. You can buy it on Steam for $20 or $30 a month. And it gives you, access to a very, very expensive modeling tool at a much reduced price. Now, it did not get this bonus tools release, and now it has. So that is a completely free update for Maya. So if you're checking out, if you're using Maya LT, go check out bonus tools, give you new functionality, and completely free. Now, this one's kind of cool. This came out of nowhere. It's a Reddit announcement that I saw. And this guy has released a C++ 2D and 3D game engine with a full, as you can see right here in front of you, WYSIWYG editor. And on top of that, that's pretty. They did a really good job on the UI. Now, I'm sick of this black on black crap. Everybody has done this. Basically, Unity started making black IDE, and everybody has followed suit. And apparently, none of these people ever used their computer outside, because the visibility of these dark UIs when you have lighting situations is infuriating. And so this trend towards black UIs is just getting so tiresome to me. But everybody's doing it. It's not a bash on Banshee. It's just a side rant I had while I was here. Anyways, Banshee is this really impressive-looking, modern, multi-threaded, C++ 14-based code base. But on top of that, it actually embeds C# as your scripting language and includes this WYSIWYG editor. It's very early. It's a 0.2 release. So obviously, you're going to expect performance issues. It's going to have bugs. It's going to have limited documentation, etc. It's a very early engine at this point. But if you are interested in getting on an engine on ground floor, definitely check this out. I know the guy behind it is looking for people to maintain ports to different platforms. So if you're interested in porting this engine to other platforms, definitely get in contact with him. There's a video here of what it can do. It's definitely an interesting looking engine. It could be a nice one coming up. Another release this week was Gdx-ai 1.8. Now, Gdx-ai is an extension for libgdx. It's available actually from the GDX setup programs. If you go into the extensions, it's one of the supported extensions. And this is a AI library for or built on top of libgdx. And 1.8 added, it updated to the most recent version of libgdx, changed their pathfinding API, added some methods, added ability to guard any tasks, etc. So just basically a little bit more functionality and the newest version of libgdx there. So if you're looking for AI in your libgdx code, definitely check out libgdx-ai. It's also completely free and open source, so nice project there. Next one is, and I haven't heard from these guys in a while, but NeoAxis 3D release version 3.4. Not a ton in this release. It's actually, they say, setting it up for NeoAxis 4, which is coming soon. It is another C-sharp powered game engine with a WYSIWYG editor. It is available for free, but it is a commercial product. I forget exactly where they get you there. There is limitation, obviously, on the free license. This is a commercial product. There is a catch. I forget what it was. Sorry about that. But definitely check that out. If you're looking for another, C-sharp-based Unity-like editor type option and don't want to use Unity, NeoAxis is definitely an option there. I don't have a lot of experience with this guy, so I can't really attest to its strengths or weaknesses. It's one of those things I should check out at some point in the future. And finally, probably this week's biggest news, at least in my humble opinion, it's the Godot engine. I have a full tutorial series on the Godot engine on Gamefromscratch. Well, they just finally officially announced Godot 2.0 beta release. So you can now download the binaries for Godot 2. You no longer have to build it from scratch. Huge amount of updates in this, but it's mostly a set of fixes and changes over time. And major update to the UI. The UI is a lot nicer. It's black again, which again, another complaint here, but it has been updated, streamlined. The moving between scenes is cleaner. The AI itself is, the UI itself is organized better, etc. And there are numerous fixes. Now, this is not a 2.0 release. This is a 2.0 beta release, but it is ready and usable for stable development. So it is definitely a step forward from the 1.x stuff. Now, on the bright side, though, they don't break a lot when they do these updates. So everything all of my tutorials, everything along those lines should still work. Your scene formats might change slightly, so you might have to recreate stuff in terms of level layouts, etc. I'm not sure if they broke the scene format. They tend to on major releases anyways. But your entire workflow, your scripting interface, all that stuff should stay the same as what it was in the past. They do a very good job of doing backward and forward compatibility between releases. So, excuse me. That is the week of game dev for January the 31st. A heck of a lot more going on this week. Nice to see that happening, that trend. Hopefully we start seeing more and more game dev news as time goes on. Hope you enjoyed that. See y'all next week. Bye.